In the early hours of the morning, the ancient city of Samarkand feels incredibly still. For centuries, this Central Asian hub was defined by its towering blue domes and sweeping desert trade routes. But on the outskirts of the city, there is a very different kind of structure. This aerial view shows a flat, circular brick foundation divided by a long, dark curve. It lacks the obvious grandeur of a palace or a mosque. Russian archaeologist V.L. Vyatkin spent years cross-referencing medieval astronomical texts to triangulate the site's coordinates. He expected to find a tomb, but as his team dug into the hillside in 1908, they struck a void, a massive trench plunging deep into the bedrock. This rendering shows the scale of the find, a 40-meter underground corridor cut perfectly on a curve and lined with precise degree markings. This was a colossal mechanical quadrant. Almost 2 full centuries before the invention of the optical telescope, this ditch in the ground served as the most advanced astronomical instrument on Earth. To map the universe with absolute precision, the astronomers of Samarkand realized they had to dig deep into the dark Earth. The mind behind this structure was Ulugh Beg. Born in 1394, he was the grandson of Timur, the conqueror who built a vast empire. But Ulugh Beg chose a different path, pouring the wealth of his empire into academia. By the 1420s, he had transformed Samarkand into a global intellectual hub. He recruited over 60 of the era's leading mathematicians and astronomers, including figures like Al-Kashi, to form a concentrated brain trust. Their mandate was highly specific. They were to discard the traditions of astrology and execute a strictly institutional, verifiable measurement of the night sky. To achieve that level of mathematical rigor, the team required a physical tool of such immense scale it forced a radical leap in structural engineering. This schematic visualizes the missing components. That flat brick footprint originally supported a massive 3-story cylindrical tower. As seen along this central axis, the entire building was oriented around a massive meridian arc running through its center. Sinking the primary measuring arc 40 meters underground solved 2 problems. It eliminated structural vibrations, isolated the observer in total darkness, and shielded their eyes from daylight. Astronomers stood in the deep trench, waiting for the exact second a star crossed the meridian line overhead, logging its position with geometric precision. This graphic shows the results of those observations. Working strictly with shadows and stone, they calculated the length of the sidereal year to be 365 days, 6 hours, 10 minutes, and 8 seconds. This is almost identical to modern measurements. By combining physical scale with sensory deprivation, Ulugh Beg's team pushed human biology to its absolute limit of observation. But the focus required to map the heavens left his earthly kingdom vulnerable. By 1449, Ulugh Beg's military control had deteriorated. In a violent coup, he was overthrown and assassinated on the orders of his own son. The academic community in Samarkand collapsed, the scholars were scattered, and the magnificent 30-meter observatory tower was systematically demolished until nothing remained above the surface. The demolition crews leveled the visible tower, but the subterranean core remained anchored in the bedrock, protected by the very earth it was built to study. The empire was easily dismantled, but the subterranean design acted as a geological vault, preserving the physical proof of their work for centuries. The final product of that trench also survived. Published in 1437, the Z-e Sultani was a comprehensive star catalog mapping the exact coordinates of 1,018 stars. Looking at these surviving manuscript pages, you can see the mathematical density and geometric modeling they achieved entirely through manual observation. Over the following decades, copies of this data made their way out of Central Asia and into Europe. It provided a reliable baseline of data that European astronomers would eventually use to help drive the global scientific revolution. In 1961, the global astronomical community formally recognized this contribution. They mapped a crater on the moon and named it Ulugh Beg, permanently attaching his name to the celestial sphere he spent his life measuring. Ulugh Beg lost his grip on his physical empire, but the stone instrument he buried in the earth secured his position in the sky forever.